and welcome to the PocketGamer.biz podcast Week in Mobile Games, where we discuss the week's news and provide some insights. I'm Craig Chapple, head of content at PocketGamer.biz. With me, as always, our news editor, Aaron Astle. How you doing, Aaron? What have you been up to?
Good, thank you. I've mostly been getting myself hyped up for a big Fire Emblem Heroes update, which the big trailer for it finally dropped in the early hours of this morning, but we've known it's coming, so it's the big version 10.0 update tomorrow as of us recording this. Yeah, quite a milestone. Generally February 2017.
Wow, really long time.
Yeah, coming up on its 9th anniversary now. And so basically they in retrospect speed ran through version 1 updates in its first year, and then you got version 2.0 was kind of this time of year back in 2017, and then it's always kind of been near the end of the year you get the new big version update, which kind of kicks off a new story campaign for the next year and introduces a bunch of new stuff. I've actually been quite excited for the story update this time, because it's version 10.0, it will be book 10, the new story campaign, and book 9 kind of ended on a cliffhanger, whereas previously they've all kind of wrapped up and it's just a new kind of story for the new book. But this one actually ended things in quite a cool way that I've actually been waiting weeks of I actually want to see what happens next now.
Oh, nice.
Which is a good position to be in, because I guess spoilers for anyone who plays this game and isn't caught up on the campaign. It takes a lot of inspiration from Norse mythology, and book 9 introduced a character called Alpha Thor, who's kind of basically Odin from Norse stuff, and he's kind of created everything comes from him basically. The whole world was created by him, and 9 is a very significant number in Nordic mythology, so I'd kind of presumed it makes sense they've brought him in book 9 rather than wait till book 10. It's a nice little Easter egg. But then the actual story revealed that this guy isn't actually Alpha Thor, and one of your companions who you've been looking after was secretly the god who basically created all of this, and was basically every problem that's been thrown your way, all the people that have died along the way, has been this little kid's fault, because he's actually the god of everything, and he finds it interesting to see how you react. And now he's decided for book 10 he's just going to end the world to see whether you can stop him. And it's just quite I just enjoy the kind of nonchalant attitude of he's not, I mean, he is evil, but he's not doing it because he wants to dominate the world. He's just, I guess, bored, and you're interesting. And it's you've stopped 9 catastrophes before, now can you actually stop the apocalypse, basically, which is quite a,
That's great. That's
great. It's nice of him to...
Based on Odin, but he's called Thor.
Alpha Thor. Thor is in it as a different character, and there's Loki in it, who is a woman instead of a guy. But yeah, there's some of the references are quite niche. There's a character called Balder, who in actual Norse mythology gets killed, and then a new god gets made to avenge them. So in Heroes, Balder has a little sister character whose mechanics are built around kind of getting stronger as she takes damage, kind of, I guess, make a gameplay version of getting revenge. I usually find it quite interesting, how they twist the mytho. So yeah, I'm interested to see where the story goes, because it's never just kind of a copy of Norse mythology, but they just take kind of inspiration from it with their own twist on it.
That's
so
cool.
Anyway, that's quite a long-winded answer for what I've been up to, which isn't actually the new thing yet. But yeah, I've been getting quite excited to start it tomorrow.
That's really cool. That's really cool. They're still going and going strong. But yeah, so as for myself, I've started playing Football Manager again, which is very dangerous for me because I played it far too much. Many thousands of hours have gone into Football Manager in my life. I took over Stevenage FC, which is sort of a localish team to me. It's not the one I actually support. I'm an Arsenal supporter, for anyone that cares. But they're actually sponsored by Xola, weirdly. I can't believe how that all works out. And one of the directors is Stuart Dinsey, who was the chairman at Curve Digital, which got bought by Nazara. Fun fact, used to be my boss when I was working on Develop Magazine. He owned a media company called Intent Media, which also had MCV. It was a big games brand. Yeah, some weird connections to that club, so I thought I'd take it over in the game. So back playing that new season, new game. I've been out of it for so long that they have made some major changes. I'm not sure about the UI at the moment. It doesn't feel as clean as previous, to be honest. But there are so many features in it. Maybe it's difficult, but still hard. I'm still trying to work out the navigation. It's not clicked quite easily. And then the other thing I did was yesterday I went to the Wiggin Games Summit, which I'll talk about in a minute. I won't do a very long ramble like I usually do for events. Don't worry, everyone. But I'll say some things that were mentioned there. It was really good. It's a great event. It's kind of like talking to people about it. It's kind of one of the ones that like kind of signals the end of the year because it's full of very senior people. Really interesting folks. Yeah, one of the last big events of the industry calendar. Right, so we're going to move on to news. So, as always, a shout out first. Pocket Gamer Connects London takes place on January 19th and 20th. That's the biggest event from us of the year, so please do come along. Got a bit of extra venue this year at the Barbican, just around the corner. We got the App Business Summit, the Transmedia Summit, and the usual tracks. We've got loads more networking space, which I'm sure people will be very happy to hear. And we got some great sessions, was great insights. So more on that soon as well. And also, if you're in the UK games industry, if you want to recommend yourself or a company to be in our top 50 UK game makers list, please do fill out the form. I'll put a link in the description below. Anyway, we're going to jump into it. So, what have we been up to? So, went to the Wiggin Games Summit, which is great. They operate by Chatham House rules, which means, as I kind of knew what it meant, which is like generally things that are said there, you generally can't like report on or put on social media outside of the event. That's because it's supposed to be like secretive. But what Chatham House rules actually means, apparently, is you can do that. But you're not allowed to say who said it. So I've got this, I guess, a weird article. I might do another one where it's like, I don't know, person says this, people are saying this, rather than actually naming. But a couple quick takeaways, I guess. There was a really good talk about kind of how we define, well, one of the parts of the talk was how we define the games industry. And I actually thought it was quite interesting that I think a lot of the time the games industry just gets put in this kind of monolithic term of just that. Whereas actually, if you look deeper into it, and they split it into AAA console, Forever Games, mobile, and indie, one of the reasons that is because they actually operate really with different kind of business models, right? So AAA is high value premium games, like in this definition, they do cross over, right? Indie, just small games like. So you get indie games on mobile, right? But this is a different way of defining indie. So it'll be kind of different categorization from the business model for mobile and then Forever Games, which I thought was interesting. And they mentioned like we don't call it the screen industry, we call it the film sector or the TV industry or short form video, like a TikTok or long form, etc. Or a long form video. Those are very well like their own thing. So for mobile, the term casual was questioned, like do we call them casual players? And they're kind of anything but. So for example, we'd probably call Royal Match or Candy Crush Saga players casual. It makes sense to do that. That's just easier to categorize these things. So this is kind of I don't know, stretching a point a bit, but like if you've got users that are playing 5,000 levels and waiting for the next 100 or the next 1,000, like, are they really casual game players? Not really. You call them hardcore players, they play all the time. So I thought that was it. I thought that was an interesting point. When they were looking at the business model, they said like the budget for mobile games, like, and how difficult it is really to be a success. So it was said to be like $1 million, but increasingly $5 million plus. Budgets can be bigger than that, right? For the really top games. But the main thing was now marketing, and we all know this, but it's just interesting when people say it aloud. And that marketing was described as a kind of the key driver for mobile titles rather than gameplay innovation. So you've got these like vast advertising budgets, which are also noted as a risk factor for games, and they can range from like $50 million plus just to compete. But they said that there was no innovation really in mobile, but then they rolled that back a bit and said that's exaggerated, but it's a very difficult place to be innovative, which is what we see, right? We always see kind of building upon what's gone on before rather than here's a completely new idea on mobile. I thought I'd actually mention as well a monetization, which I put in our story on this. A monetization expert recently told me how Chinese publishers have excelled in UA, with some companies employing hundreds of people just to build ad creatives, and that's on top of using AI tools to help make them, because they can kind of just flood the market. And marketing was seen by some in China as even more important than development roles. Which I thought was interesting. Elsewhere, there was a couple other quick things to wrap up, but like AI was a big topic of discussion, and I think generally all the panelists, and it depends who you get, right? But generally all the panelists were keen on using AI in different ways. But the general thing was, I guess, what we always hear in some ways, which is, it's not to replace people, it's to make better games, or that's how it should be. So one studio is using it kind of in a really interesting way, small new startup. They are experienced game developers, and they said like without AI, they wouldn't one be able to make the game that they're making, and wouldn't be able to do it with their budget and size team, which is fascinating. And I think they did say the difference between the AI buzz and the Web3 buzz is that, and you still do get the same thing, but I think there are more like actual game developers using AI, whereas Web3, again, there are some game developers using it, but I think, as we all know, there was a lot of people like never worked in games saying how they're gonna like change the games industry with this new Web3 blockchain innovation, whatever, and it never really happened. Obviously, we had like an Axie Infinity, but long term, it's not really stuck yet. Not to say that that tech will never find a use. I think AI is much more here and now, and most studios are using it, even if they're public or not. But yeah, it was a good show, well worth going to, and you always learn a lot of that. And the main thing is the networking, which was great. So yeah, thanks to Wigan for hosting that again. It's really good. So, Aaron, what have you got?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk a bit about Pikmin Bloom, which has hit 100 million in lifetime player spending between App Store and Google Play. It hit this milestone on the 1st of December, which is 1 month after its 4th anniversary. That's according to AppMagic estimates. Really, those estimates show that the game blossomed in 2023, which is when like revenue really started to pick up. And to the point where I think you can fairly say this is a successful game now, 100 million. Still, obviously, significantly smaller than Pokemon Go, and it's made about a third of the revenue that Monster Hunter now has. So these are all like AR, location-based, what were Niantic games. But yeah, like Pikmin Bloom has sort of picked up steam over time, and like now its monthly revenue is getting up close to what Monster Hunter now does every month. Yeah, so Bloom launched in late 2021, and like looking slightly ahead to 2022, that first full year it made 8.4 million based on the estimates. And in 2023, this increased 148%. It made another nearly 21 million. In 2024, it went up even further to 33.4 million. And then this year, it's already made 34.8 million. So 2025 is its best year yet, with another month to go. And in August 24, Niantic launched a web shop for Pikmin Bloom. So obviously, kind of the real revenue for this year is likely even higher still, like DTC playing a role. So yeah, I kind of took a look into like why this game has grown the way it has over time, and obviously like looking at 2023 was the obvious kind of starting point. That's when things really took off. For any fellow Pikmin fans who might be listening, obviously 2023 was the year Pikmin 4 released, which was the first mainline game in 10 years. So obviously you could point to that as being like a factor for it growing. Pikmin Bloom growing the same year. Monthly installs did more than double when 4 released. So they went from about 107,000 in June 23 to 247,000 in July, which was the month Pikmin 4 came out. So yeah, it's possible or likely even that that had kind of a knock-on marketing impact on Bloom. But I think there is more to it than that. So yeah, I took kind of a deeper dive into the mobile game because monthly installs have kind of stayed up since 4 launched, even like 2 years later. Obviously, part of that could be there are new Pikmin fans, but yeah, I think there have been some notable changes to the game that I was able to find. So yeah, like in Pikmin Bloom in 2023, an event premium pass was introduced as kind of a new standard offering where you that you can buy kind of every event really to get like extra rewards and things during the period. And they also ramped up mystery boxes, which are effectively loot boxes with a range of items inside. You get those for completing battles, I think, more so than like buying them. But obviously that encourages you to play more, and you need Pikmin to battle with. So I guess, the more you play, the more you're going to be able to get these mystery boxes. And Bloom also has community days, like I guess most well known from Pokemon Go out of these kind of games. Those have been in since launch, and they kind of give players a limited time to buy tickets to kind of get extra rewards during them and things. But Pikmin Bloom also started doing real world paid events in the last year or so, which I think show obviously the confidence that it had scaled up enough, I guess, to be worth doing a real world event. I guess it's also noteworthy that the amount of coins you can get in bundles has been reduced over time. So I guess maybe people are spending more just to get the same amount of currency. But overall, I'd say like while none of this has kind of totally overhauled the game to like trigger a big increase in spending, clearly spending is going up. And I think the fact that like monthly installs have approximately doubled between like 2022 and 2025, whereas revenues more than quadrupled in the same time frame. Yeah, I think that all kind of points towards they are kind of doing something right with the changes they're making to the game. Obviously, I say previously with Niantic, now Scopely, and yeah, it seems like whatever they're doing is moving things in the right direction.
That's pretty cool. Like it's not really well, it is not the blockbuster success. So if that's your bar, then you could say it was a fail. But like I think it's done really well, right? And as you say, it's been growing.
Yeah,
really interesting insights into like why that's the case. And 100 mil, like everyone, most studios would love that. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Like, where does Niantic go from here? Is always the big question. And the money it took to get to find that like success, because they had so many licenses that they've tried in the past. Obviously, Harry Potter. I think they had an NBA license. What else did they have? Transformers, Catan, Marvel, maybe at one point. Crazy, but yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, another thing I guess worth mentioning. Obviously, Pikmin is a Nintendo IP, so that undoubtedly helps. But it is kind of on the smaller side, especially if you're going to compare it to Pokemon Go. Like there isn't really any comparison between like Pikmin and Pokemon IPs. Like I think Pikmin 4, I think it sold somewhere between 2 and 3 million units on the Switch, which is very good for the Pikmin series. But you compare that to like Pokemon, which consistently has been hitting like over 20 million per game like every year. The one new Switch game in a decade did like 3 million, which is very good for Pikmin, but yeah, like the IPs aren't really on the same level. So I think it's quite a good success story that they've made a hit of it on mobile.
And nearly as successful as Monster Hunter now at this point.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks for that, Aaron. Moving on, I had another random thing I guess I wanted to talk about. But it's all based around a couple of things. So I did this interview with a guy called Ali Farha. He's one of the biggest LinkedIn influencers at the moment. He's used to work at Star Stable. Now he's joined Behold Ventures. So I had a chat with him about kind of his journey into games. He started out in another industry, decided he wanted to move into games, spent like a few years learning Unreal and Unity, and then got his job at Star Stable. Done various things ever since. It's like a bit of a yes man in terms of always takes all the opportunities that kind of come his way, which was really interesting. And he made it his kind of goal to have a prominent voice in the industry. So he's always posting. And so the article goes into a bit about that and kind of how as he put it, how games changed his life, but also writing about it. And he thinks everyone should be doing it. He says, like most people, like, despite what you might see on LinkedIn and you think everyone does it, he says most people don't still do that. Because I think he said, like, most people think it's kind of like bragging, but actually you could be helping people, right? Was his point. And just as an aside, like for like when you're a journalist writing, particularly I think in B2B, if you're out there putting stories out, people see you as like an industry voice as well, right? And that helps with opportunities. So I guess the general point I'm trying to make now is so the kind of how important LinkedIn I think has become for a lot of people in the industry, and how important it is actually for B2B media, and then the importance of building communities. Like, for example, kind of going back to what I was saying about the importance of LinkedIn and building your network. So I was out of a job a few years ago, and the support I got was incredible. So Amir Sabat uh, works for Tencent, but as many people will know, he's like a LinkedIn influencer, and one of his kind of goals has been to help the thousands of people that have been laid off from the games industry find new jobs. I, they're so good at it, like him and his network. They're so good at it that, like, when I finally posted on LinkedIn about it, I think I took like a month away from anything social media, but I went back on, and then like they saw it helped immediately. People were like flagging, "Oh, please help," and it was great. And then also the contacts that I've made over the years, I had them on LinkedIn, and they were all just kind of coming out. I haven't spoken to some people for years, right? And then they all kind of come and help. So it's really just important. I know people know this, but I guess I'll bang the drum because we've been talking about these kind of things a lot internally. It's just how useful building those connections are. And I think there is a big perception, and I know why, of like if you write stuff online, especially, and you try and be a thought leader in quotes for people not on video, which is kind of a weird term, but it's correct term, but it's kind of weird at this point. It's like it could be a bit cringy writing stuff right on LinkedIn, especially when you see them sometimes, and there are posts that people make that just one aren't very good, two very cringy, or they try and make absurd points. We've all seen those. We've all cringed, laugh. But actually, I have some respect for people that put themselves out there. You don't always get it right, like myself, right? I've put loads of rubbish out over the years. I don't mean to. Hopefully, some good stuff as well. But it's just, I think actually getting yourself out there is only ever going to be great for you. And it teaches you so much. Like I learned so much from going and doing events. So a bit outside of LinkedIn. I'll try and keep this short. I won't ramble too much. But my first ever, so we with Alifar, I also talked about the opportunities he had from going to events and speaking, and that is another way that's kind of built up my network. So anyone out there that's thinking like, oh, I don't know if I should speak at events, or oh, I have nothing to say, etc. I would seriously consider it, and just remember that if you think you're rubbish, like chances are, like the first one, this will probably make people not do it, but you probably will be rubbish your first time, but you'll only get better, right? Or you might be amazing the first time, right? And you're just an absolute natural. My first talk was at GDC. I took part in I think it was a Zynga run talk or something like that. And I was the moderator, and there were hundreds of people in this room, and I've never done this before. Zynga, Facebook, Google, and another company whose name I can't remember. Like really senior people, like Leo Alibe was one of them. I don't know where he is now. He was at Meta. I think he's been at Games for Change. He's doing something else now. Alongside that, I think. And I was getting really stressed. I had all my questions, but people were like running through them really quickly. I was like, oh my god. And then I just wasn't very good at like responding to what they were saying, etc. The feedback I got was awful afterwards. It was crushing. But then what can you do but do it again? And actually, I mean, I'm not saying I'm like amazing with it at it, obviously, but like I do an okay job now, and I don't get as nervous as I used to. And doing that helps build your profile, which is kind of good for you and the business you're working for. So I think it's really important. Yeah, there's a bit of rambling, but it was a really interesting interview. I think people should check it out. And if I could be so bold as to give people advice if they haven't done it, as like, honestly, I think it's worth putting your voice out there. You don't have to do it all the time every day, right? But like, if you think you've got something to share, it is worth doing, and you'll learn a lot through doing it. Like even just writing stuff, you actually put all your thoughts together. Anyway, I guess that's my soapbox. What's your next story, Aaron?
Okay, yeah, next from me is apparently there's yet another Sonic movie on its way. So this will be the fifth like film in the franchise, and like the fourth film isn't out yet. I still need to get around to actually watching these. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 looked quite good from the trailer, possibly because I like Shadow. But yeah, apparently this fifth film is going to be like a spin-off of something. This is according to Variety. So Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is coming out in 2027, and then there's going to be a spin-off film in 2028 in cinemas. It's apparently currently expected to release on December 22nd, so we're still like 3 years away. But it goes to show, that frightening first look of CGI Sonic the Hedgehog with the original film, and then they went back and delayed it and changed the design. Clearly that's worked out because now they've got a multi-film franchise that they're already planning multiple sequels for. Obviously, there was a Knuckles TV series last year. Like, it's really become quite a big success case, I guess, for like games doing the transmedia thing and really building its own kind of franchise in the movie world, outside of the games that it's based on. To me, it's quite noteworthy, for a game film adaptation to already have like 2 more sequels in the works.
Yeah, obviously, transmedia is the trend that won't really go away at the moment, I guess, for games. I'm not saying it should. I'm just saying it won't go away. It's like actually became a thing. I think I said before, like over 10 years ago, I was invited on a press trip to Canada, all about transmedia, and it was just a very different idea of what it was. But now games are actually being adapted well to film. I'm very glad that they changed the look of Sonic.
Yeah.
Like made him his iconic look, not this obscure, horrible horror.
It was the teeth, I think, that did it for me.
The eyes, the teeth, was everything, really. And didn't even have his iconic shoes. Like, what's the point? I presume that was some deal with Nike or Adidas, but was not the one. But they changed it, and the films are. I think I've watched the first one. I need to watch the others, but it was good. I enjoyed it. Jim Carrey's amazing, as ever. I've been creating a list, which will go on the site soon. There's just so many, and actually, like Mario's obviously did very well, about $1.3 billion, I think, off the top of my head, at the box office, and it made. So they're doing the Super Mario Brothers Galaxy movie now, and I think, am I correct? There's a Donkey Kong spin-off, right? So that is underway. So that is another one that also has like multiple projects in the works. So we've got a load. I think there's loads of other stuff. Five Nights at Freddy's is getting the treatment. I think the latest film is out or about to come out. So it's just a really exciting time for game IP in particular. That's Hollywood's big thing still, I think, at the moment. Long may it last.
Yeah. I'm surprised there hasn't been another Pokemon film yet. It's like Detective Pikachu was 2019. Certainly been long enough to get another one.
I think they're making a sequel, right? I think there's two things.
Yeah, I don't know whether the sequel's still happening. I know they said they were going to do one.
I always thought
it's been so long.
It was a bit weird how they would do a second one, given the end of the first one.
Yeah, like
how do you put Ryan Gosling? How do you put Ryan Reynolds back in to Pikachu?
Yeah.
Like, how do you do this? Sorry, spoilers. It's an old film now. It's okay to do spoilers. But I weren't they going to make? I should know. It's probably. I thought they were going to make also a proper Pokemon film.
I can't remember at this point because it's all so long ago. Like, whether that was rumor or official, they were going to do something. So obviously, Detective Pikachu's kind of a real world-esque Pokemon story. But yeah, I thought they were going to do something that was a bit more kind of traditional, fantastical, in Kanto or wherever.
It's not the biggest IP in the world. You think if Sonic's getting all these films, you think Pokemon will be slammed on. Not just the anime movies that they put out. Maybe it's cost to returns thing. 150 million budget, 433 million box office for Detective Pikachu. I don't think the budget includes marketing. And I think the rule of thumb is you double it.
Yeah.
I could be speaking rubbish. So, I mean, it's all made a lot of money, but maybe it's made more. Maybe it's not worth it. But interesting. Yeah, really interesting. And obviously, we'll be doing the Transmedia Summit at PocketGamer.biz London. So do check that out. So the last thing I wanted to cover quickly was that Discord now lets you buy and gift video game skins. And you can do that directly within the platform. So you'll be able to search, buy, wishlist, and gift cosmetics without leaving it. The first game to do this is they're starting it with Marvel Rivals. That's it. I think it's a genuinely really interesting thing to do. Games companies obviously are building communities on Discord. Been doing it for a long time. It's a key way to engage with your audience, especially when, like, historically, for mobile, Apple and Google don't really let you do that easily. But Discord has become like an interesting place for that. Some context that they try to sell. They try to basically make it a sort of a Steam many moons ago. And sell games through Discord. That didn't actually work at the time. I thought it was a good idea, but that's just not how people were using Discord at the time anyway. And Steam is obviously very hard to get people away from using that. So they've tried that kind of thing before. So I think it's a really great idea. I can imagine this being expanded. For example, what if Discord was actually your web shop? So you not only do you engage with your community there, publishers already do, but you don't even like those users don't have to make another step to leave Discord to go to the web shop. You can still have your web shop, but you could also have it in Discord. I thought that'd be potentially a really interesting idea. Obviously, with the new rules for Apple and Google, depending on where you are in the world, you can probably just do direct links within the app now. But like, it's just another really interesting kind of, I guess, a touch point with your users potentially. And I think it's just a nice, quite simple addition to Discord that could be really useful for publishers, like if they want to use that. The only thing I was thinking is like I guess we'll see what Discord does in terms of what it wants to take from publishers for these things. It's nice to do it. I don't know what the revenue share is from that. And also this Discord wants to go public. So at some point the penny may drop on, Discord wants to make its money back, grow its revenue, grow its profit, to grow its share price. So what is Discord ultimately going to ask from publishers? Because I think they get a lot at the moment for not very much. Curious what happens in the future. But yeah, that's a cool idea. Right, that's everything. So that brings us to the end of the week in mobile games. Thanks as always, Aaron, for your insights.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you everyone for tuning in as always, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.